a multiple use mandate, right? That's how it was set up. That's how it should be. You've got extraction, grazing, hunting, fishing, recreating, and also just for looking at. And we believe in that kind of stuff. And I don't want to see a bunch of goddamn solar panels and all other bullshit. I want to look at my trees as trees, not like solar panel trees made by some gay South African or something. Bro, you're not gonna. I don't know if I should. Well, he's got a harem of 14 test tube chicks. What are we talking about here? Not speaking. This is not speaking for the campaign. I'm on my own over here.
Now I was like, wow,
now endorse Brandon.
It's like this feels a little pointed somehow.
No, it was a lot of people. Rewind. I didn't know what to level. Brandon, this morning you were talking about the different ways they show it or get it across to try to manipulate. Hey, look what they're doing. They're just giving it all away. Versus, actually, it is actually researched before. Hey, this plot of land we actually can get rid of. Versus this one, not so much, right?
And so, before I say what I'm about to say, let me make it abundantly clear. Like, I was against Mike Lee's amendment to the big beautiful bill that would sell off public land. I was not in favor of that. But there were a lot of people that were manipulating it, and I don't like, whether it's left, right, agree, disagree. I don't like the manipulation of data. To try to convince people of things. And like there were a lot of maps that were being shared around, like this is the public land that like could be sold off in the new bill, and it would look like a third of all public land in the country. But in reality, it was like that was just the stuff that was available. In reality, I think it was like 1% total. It was something along those lines, like 1.3. I don't remember the exact number, but I was annoyed by the amount of maps that I was seeing on social media that made it look like, oh my God, we're selling all of Utah. You know,
because they were.
Well, how much were they selling?
What they had done is set a floor and no ceiling. So it was like these must be sold off, and then the rest to be evaluated. And there's already a process in place for this called FLPMA, the Federal Land and the beer is getting to me already. Federal Land Management and Policy Act, 72. And what it does is you can evaluate a piece of property and say, hey, we've got to expand our city here, or maybe we need a landfill or whatever. And then it goes through this process, and then it can be divested to that incorporated city or whatever. So that process exists, and they were just pretending like it didn't exist because they were trying to bypass that procedure so that Elon could pave the West with solar panels. And e-girls.
E-girls that you can now apparently marry on X.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I understand. I actually think you're coming from the right place, but he was manipulating the whole conversation intentionally.
See, that's my perspective. Well, I like it. Just those are the conversations, especially with your side, because how was that conversation? I think that's a really difficult one, because you'd figured a lot of people would be looking at that on the right or left, but on the right side, you're like, oh, they'll understand this. And then was there actually a wave of pushback? And you're like, yo, what the
yeah, well,
because data manipulation, maybe, as you were saying, it's like, oh, well, they're manipulating the data or how they were saying it.
I mean, I just want everybody to have the right conversation, you know, like let's look at the facts as they are, instead of, because you'll have groups on the left, groups on the right that'll just try to make the conversation, change the Overton window to what they want the conversation to be. I'm like, no, let's talk about the real thing being proposed. But I was on your side through the whole thing. Like, I thought it was very well structured the way you did it.
Well, I appreciate that. And you're right. The left is particularly bad at this, though. They'll take a piece of data and then spin it in a direction that just makes it virtually useless, like almost not true. Well, it is mostly not true. And that's made the right wing just kind of like they're reactionary now towards any information that comes from the left, and rightly so, because they get lied to all the time. So it makes it difficult to have the conversation. Like, actually, hey, man, this is what they're aiming at. And plus, you got to be a goddamn nerd to even know all this stuff. There's so many acts involved. They go back to 1872, 1890, 1860. Like, you got to get way in the weeds. And no one wants to do that. Unless you're a nerd.
Even the people in power don't do it.
Oh, my gosh.
They're some of the most clueless people you'll ever talk to.
Like, there's like 4 state politicians in my state that have ever read our Constitution. Like, and I'm talking about a state constitution. It's like, dude, homework, man.
Also, I loved you in 1923.
Well, if it keeps going, we're gonna be like, there will be blood levels.
Oh,
Be like the Bill the Butcher or some shit. I'm just kidding, feds. Jesus Christ.
no, he's not.
You can't even joke anymore. Fuck.
One of us.
One of Mike Lee hit squads to show up in Idaho. Black helicopters in round pen.
You're like, I can't even joke about the things I really believe anymore.
Yeah, speaking of the border.
No, it's just who was the president that did the most for it? Like conservation would have been Roosevelt, right?
Yeah, the most was TR for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he really fought for that. He actually introduced a lot of the like, hey, I forget what was happening at that time. We're like, hey, just ripping up forests, ripping up woods, and then he was the one that put a stop. Wasn't it? Yellowstone was like the starting point for everything, correct?
Yeah. Yellowstone, well, yes. In a broad spectrum, I would say yes. The other cool guy that never gets credit is Pinchot. His dad, so you're talking about the robber baron era, and some right-wingers.
Oh, yes. Go on. Act like we're retards because we are.
Well,
and
me too.
explain it to all of us, audience included.
Like, I understand the robber baron era, but I've never heard of, you said Pinchot?
Yeah.
I have no clue who this is.
So his dad was a timber baron, and they had his company had stripped the shit out of forests all across America, and instead of saying, you know what, you go continue this legacy and get rich and move this company forward and all that, he said, you know what, you're gonna fix what I screwed up. So he sent him to Germany and France to get an education in forestry. And before you get all uppity, Europeans, they went over there because they'd already can I use that word?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
They'd already they'd already
Bleep stuff
raped
out.
their forests, and so it was like, hey, we're doing reconstruction on our forests over here. Maybe you should protect the stuff you have.
What was the forest wearing?
Oh my God.
It was probably the tree brought it on itself, I think. Jogging after midnight in a miniskirt,
Sav's giving me the eyeball, right?
like wasn't wearing enough conifer leaves.
The tree was blowing that whistle pretty hard.
Okay, now go on. I had to ruin your story.
No, you didn't. So he goes over and gets educated, and then comes back, and he's part of the Boone and Crockett Club with TR and these guys that had kind of like already decided they had this ethos that they were going to conserve this stuff. And actually, one step back before I get back to Pinchot, TR. He was, he's born like this very wealthy guy in New York and, Harvard, Yale, all this kind of stuff. Then he goes out west to Nebraska, which the line moves. Nebraska, I don't know. You guys keep trying to claim west, but you're like Midwest now. But it was west then. So he comes out and he goes on this buffalo hunt. And he kills this buffalo. It's like this big, long, arduous thing. I'll spare you, but he finally kills this buffalo.
Go into it. We like this one thing the podcast loves is history lessons.
Okay.
And right
Autism
now you're
deep-
telling them
deep
very
dives.
well, so I am fully involved into this.
So he finally whacks this buffalo after he's like sleeping outside in the rain, and the guides were all really impressed because they thought he was like this blind, rich nerd from New York, and he kind of was blind and rich, but he wasn't this nerd. He was tough, and he wanted to like get this stuff done. Anything he put his mind to, he wanted to accomplish.
Because wasn't the visual impairment, was that based on boxing?
He was kind of blind anyway, but he was asthmatic as a kid, and then he always said when he started boxing at Harvard that cured, his asthma. I don't know if I'm a doctor, so I think that's true.
And then he did take one really hard hit in the military.
It made it worse for sure.
Yep, and that's when he's like, that's the one that fucked me up, and that's when he got into judo, if I do remember right.
Really? Huh.
I think that's correct. I can't remember for sure, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm vibing. I'm concluding over here. I think that's right. So he's out there, and he was kind of famously a bad shot because he couldn't see worth a shit. And he finally whacks a buffalo, and then he comes back and he's talking to the guides, and they're impressed that he was just tough enough to sleep outside and all that kind of thing. And then the guide is explaining to him, like, there's almost no buffalo left, man. And he has this moment where he realizes, like, holy shit, I might have killed the last buffalo, because he only saw one damn buffalo the whole time.
No shit.
So for me, I think that's the start of his realization. Like his conservation ethos begins there, and then he ends up going back to New York and going on with life. And then his wife and mother die on the same day, so he goes back out west, buys this cattle ranch, and starts like learning how to be a cowboy. And there's a whole bunch of crap in there, like gunfights and all sorts of shit. But we'd be here for 5 hours if I did that. Yeah.
That wall of buffalo skulls is wild because, to your story, they wiped out.
They did.
98% of all, but it was
If
a
the
wild
editor could
number.
put that up on the screen
Yeah.
too, like that's an incredible visual representation of.
And it wasn't just buffalo; it was elk, antelope, mule deer. They were killing it. Bighorns, mountain goats. They were just whacking everything. But buffalo are the most famous.
Just while we're talking about elk, do you know what this asshole carried up a mountain to hunt a elk?
If it's too heavy, if it's too heavy of a rifle, don't say that
I
on
don't know,
there.
Brandon. What did you take up a mountain to hunt an elk with?
Look, I didn't want to go like they had like all these super lightweight. And they're like, "Oh, do you want to borrow my like 4-pound 6.5 Creedmoor?" I'm like, no, I'll carry something I actually want to use. Like so I had a Scar 20S.
That's like cool.
the heavier DMR version of the Scar in 6.5 that I was just like, man, you know what? This is an actual rifle that I will use for other stuff. And I'm like, I just want to, if I'm going to take something with it, or if I want to take like an elk or something, like I want to take it with something that I actually will use, like one of the 5 guns I use for real world shit.
Sure.
And I started regretting that about 8 hours into the first day.
So we're going over mountains for days, and you're like, "This is heavy." I'm like, yeah, I know, asshole.
In a place that we're used to like sea level elevation.
Yeah,
And we're up in
Deseret.
Deseret, Utah.
Yeah, I think that's about like I think you started about 5 right there, and then you're just climbing from there.
Just dying. I was like, why the did you bring that home?
with a scar.
And what's funny is that like because I was expecting to have to take like a 200, 300, 400 yard shot eventually. And the shot that I ended up taking him, because I brought 2 guns. I brought the Scar 20S, and then I brought my lever 4570 if it was within closer range. And ended up the day that I took mine, the shot was within 50 yards.
Yep.
So I absolutely did not need 6.5.
Thank God you had that 20-pound gun, though.
Yep. Loved it. Yeah, the gun plus the optic plus the ammo. It was fun. Oh, yeah. That was a good time. Though. It was a great time.
10-round mag. Is that what you carried?
Yeah, I think I had a 10.
I'll just strip that bitch down to nothing. I wanted to brought. I'm like, this is heavy. Get rid of it altogether.
I clearly, it was not a weight-saving loadout.
No. So you had
No.
FDR, or yeah, he went, not FDR, but Roosevelt went on.
FDR was not doing much hiking.
Yeah. At all. His little wheel. He's just rolling down. He's like, guys, watch it. It's fun on the way down. Sucks on the way
Editor,
up.
can we get some sort of ChatGPT grok image of FDR in the wilderness doing hiking?
The mobility
chariot.
wheelchair with the tracks on the side of it.
Tank
It's
treads.
still handheld. It's manual at that time. But so he had this come to Jesus moment with, oh shit, I have maybe killed the last buffalo. Now I want to actually get into conservation.
I think that's what started it. So it kind of came years later where he really started pushing on it. But I think that's where it began. At least the thinking about it in the correct way started there. There was this, the Americans came over here from Britain and other places in Europe, and they had like stripped everything, like we talked about earlier. They had stripped that entire continent over generations and generations. And then they got here and there was just trees everywhere and animals and game and all that, and they felt like there was I feel like they thought there was such an abundance that they would never exhaust it. So I don't like to look back at history and be like, these were terrible people that didn't cow us and too cavalier about what they had. They just didn't understand. And at the time, the continent looked so vast. I don't think they thought they could destroy it, but they were getting damn close to it. And Pinchot gets back. TR president now, and Pinchot is teaching it. I think it was Yale. He was running like a forestry class.
If you don't mind me derailing, who is Pinchot?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Pinchot is the guy whose dad was a timber baron and then got sent back to Germany and France to learn how to like not do it. So he was like a rich guy, and his dad was like, you're gonna be the Lorax bitch. Like, that's what you're gonna be. So
God, that dad. Hey, I know I f***ed up. So you're for me. Good job, champ.
exactly. Yeah, and he was a stud too. Like, so he's teaching these classes at either Yale or Harvard. I can't remember which one right now. And he would be like looking at his students and say, "Okay, let's figure out because now TR is president. Let's figure out what forest we can preserve." And the reason they knew they needed to do it, one reason they knew they needed to do it, was there was also like grass barrens going on. So the 400 million sheep or something like that. And they were just overgrazing and then stripping everything out, like in terms of trees. So these big banks on mountains were not holding up, and mudslides were destroying towns and all this. And kind of ironically, some of the first push for like, hey, help us, came out of mountain towns in Utah. They were like, dude, something's up. You guys got to help us. Like, we've had like 35 people die in mudslides. Help us out. So they start breaking up these barrens, and that's sort of how Pinchot enters the picture with TR. And he's teaching at Yale or Harvard again, I can't remember which. And he would go to his students and say, figure out which forest. They were kind of trying to prioritize. Look at this map, which forests are most important, and then it would like pick 2 or 3, and then you bring them up to TR, and TR like you put them on TR's desk, and TR would look at them and be like, let's go downstairs and box. So they would go downstairs and they'd box for a while, and they come back up.
Such a dope.
They're fucking awesome, dude.
Real quick too, what was causing the mudslides that was killing all those people?
In ecological terms, like the roots the roots of the trees are helping hold the dirt onto the mountain, and then the roots of the grass are helping as well. So when you kill both, it just becomes like a mudslide hell. There's nothing to keep the bank from eroding, or the slide or the mountainside from eroding.
There's no structure to it.
Yeah,
exactly. All this stuff kind of works together. So they started preserving. I think between those two, while TR was in office, I think it was over 100 national forests they put protections on. Just like 190 million acres, I think he did. Or no, maybe he did 120 million acres while he was in, and now we're at about like 193, I think.
It's
Sorry
wild.
to interrupt, but that story, TR was beating the out of people in the basement.
Yeah, him and Pinchot.
Imagine boxing the president.
He was doing that shit all the time.
Just you like, oh yeah, Teddy Roosevelt wants to see you. Come on, let's spar a little bit.
Totally.
Well, especially when you're just a Yale or Harvard kid and you're like, I got these papers for you. What? What? You can't say no to the president, so you're just getting punched in the face. Still really smart on their side with going like, hey, I'll just bring this up to my students, have them break down and then deduce what the problem is and actually find out the problem, because at that time, no one's going to think about, oh, hey, the roots and the grass are holding all this together. And once you start removing this, then you have landslides or mudslides as repercussions because of it all.
I love so that he's using just like college students. It's like free labor.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Figure this shit out.
Figure out why people are dying. Thank you. Okay.
Also, I'm going to punch you in the face when you come back.